Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 4 of Cobra Kai. And apparently, the kicking practice has been taking a toll because I hurt my foot. But in all seriousness, I don't know how I did it. I went to the movies with my church last night. It was fine. Come back, it's fine at first, but then minutes after I come back or something, like the heel begins hurting, and it's like I have no idea why. And I am actually recording this on Tuesday, so when I say yesterday I went to the movie with my church, it was Monday. But yeah, I have no idea why. I don't know if I hit my heel against something. I looked at it, it didn't look bruised. And it's not like a huge pain, it's not like anything I can't handle, but it makes it awkward to walk and everything, because I limp a little now. And I've had worse pains in my heel and foot in general, from twisted ankles and stuff. It's nowhere near that bad. It's just annoying. But yeah, just thought it was funny because now we're getting into this, and last episode they were practicing kicking. Not really practicing. Johnny was teaching Miguel kicking. And last episode was also a Halloween episode. There was this Halloween dance at the school. Johnny got Miguel decked out in the old skull skeleton costume from the first Karate Kid. And Miguel tried to use his new kicking skills to fight back against the bullies. And he got a good hit in, but that's about all he did. And we find out that one of the bullies, I don't remember his name right now, but the one who's dating Daniel's daughter, he had given her this necklace, or it wasn't a necklace, was it? It was some kind of jewelry. He gave it to her, claiming it was his grandmother's, but apparently that was a lie, and it was just some cheap little trinkets he was pawning off on multiple women in the past and all. So yeah, he's definitely a scumbag too. And so we got a little between Daniel and Johnny again, just a little bit of that rivalry kind of being reignited. Daniel's kind of becoming a little bit of an overprotective parent, just out of concern because of what Johnny had told him. And so I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm interested to see what they do going forward with the future of this. So hopefully it starts to go a little better for things, for all the characters involved. Yeah. Don't know what else to say here. Don't know what's going to happen. I know that that this is still really popular because season 4 just came out. People are reacting to it on YouTube. People are talking about it. I haven't heard any spoilers, luckily, but it's still doing really well. And again, I think, as I think I've said before, it's on Netflix now. But it started on YouTube Red. I don't know if episodes for the recent seasons are longer, because these episodes are only half an hour length. But for YouTube Red, that's not really surprising. But I'm wondering if they were extended for later seasons because of being on Netflix. Um, doesn't matter to me either way, I guess, but I'm just curious. I also don't know how many episodes this is um, by season. Usually shows like this, like online, like series like this, will be like 8 to 10 episodes usually. Um, Especially in more recent years, they that's kind of just how they've been going down. So let me see if I can find out here. Let me see real quick. Season 1 has 10 episodes. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Okay. And this started in 2018. Okay. I actually didn't know that one. I thought it started in like 2019. But I guess with 4 seasons, that makes sense. Because if the new season just came out recently, yeah, that would kind of work out. With online shows, you can never really tell because it's like some shows will release like 5 seasons in 2 years, and it's like, Jesus. Might be a little bit of exaggeration, but I'm looking at you, Voltron. Ugh. I could also talk about when good shows go bad, but not gonna bring that up here anymore. Yeah. Anyway, I'm definitely excited to see where this is going because this has been really good. Like I've stated in previous reactions, it definitely feels like a legitimate follow-up to the Karate Kid. Um, like it actually feels like this is where the Karate Kid was headed, but also in terms of direction, pacing, performances, it legitimately feels like the Karate Kid, and I really appreciate that they were able to do that. Um, because that couldn't have been easy to replicate that feel, but they did it. So hopefully it continues to be as good. Again, I hear people praising it to this day, especially with the new season. So I have hope. um, Either way, let's get on with this and see what we got in store with this episode. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So yeah, we're definitely starting to see the growth of Johnny's character, which is, yeah, obviously that's where this was going to go. Like, that was obvious from episode 1. Johnny being down on his luck, being kind of this just shadow, I won't even say shadow of his former self because of how he used to be, but just being this, like, just terrible, just really, he's in a terrible bad situation. Things are just not going well for him at all in any way, and he's not really the best of people. But it's obvious that through this series we're going to see him become better, and once Miguel began training with him, it was obvious that that's where it was going. That Miguel would help him to become better. Unintentionally, like it's not something Miguel would or is going to actively do. It's just through that relationship. Um, and as we see in this episode, it's made very clear that his relationship with Miguel is very much a father-son style relationship. Miguel doesn't have a father in the picture. I don't think it's been said what happened or what the deal with that is, but his father's not in the picture. And Johnny has a very terrible relationship with his son, who is basically a criminal, but also a high school dropout, um, a druggie, and all kinds of other stuff. And mind you, like if it's just like pot he's smoking and everything, it's like that's fine. But honestly, I could possibly see him doing other stuff, harder stuff that's actually bad. Um, but yeah, it's very clear that because of because of Johnny becoming an absentee father to his son and everything, it caused everything wrong with that entire family situation. Because the kid's mom had to take care of him for all those years alone, she resorted to drinking and everything, and just she became devoid of hope, basically. She just stopped, like, trying, because there was nothing more she could do, and she couldn't care for him in a way that he needed. And he ended up seeking out other things that just ruined his life. And I'm not saying that, like, a kid needs a boy needs a father in his life, because that's not true necessarily. Um, a boy does not need a father, or even a father figure in his life necessarily. It's dependent on the kid. And there have been plenty of guys who've grown up with family situations that didn't have anything like that. Whether a single mother living with the grandparents, or even growing up with two moms or whatnot. Situations like that need to be taken into account too. And kids have grown up fine like that. So there's a lot more situations, or a lot more reasonings for the way he has become. Other than Johnny just being absentee, it's also the mother's fault. Like, yeah, it's partially Johnny's fault for sure, but it's also the mother's fault for kind of giving up. It's clear that she tried to do everything at first, but she eventually gave up because it was too hard on her. And I don't necessarily, like, blame her, but it is not the right thing to do. To just give up on your child just because you can't handle it alone. You need to find help, whatever that may be, even if it's just through friends. Like, you can't just you can't just give up on your child. That's not okay. So, and then of course you have to account for the influences of who he's hanging around with and stuff, which was probably a coping mechanism for his parents just not giving a shit about him. So, yeah, it's all of this combined. Johnny is definitely at fault, but he's not the only one. So Johnny sees having another chance with Miguel, but I also think that at some point he's probably going to patch this up with his son, at least to some degree. Also, with that cold open, I kind of wanted to see where that was going. Look, is that just me? Dude comes into the PC shop, drops off his laptop not working and everything. The kid's like, okay, this is what's wrong with it. I've seen this kind of thing before. We get these all the time. And then as the guy leaves, he's like, oh, he brings it out back to his friends. It's like, oh, we're going to sell this or whatnot. Make some money. And it's like, okay, but what are you going to do about this guy? He said he was going to be back in an hour. And we never find out. We never get any kind of resolution to that. And I understand it wasn't important. I understand it was just to show Johnny's son a little bit more. By the way, I can't remember his name right now. That's why I just keep calling him Johnny's son. But it was just to show him a little bit more and to develop him as a character a little more and show what he's up to. But at the same time, it's like I kind of wanted to know what he was going to do with that and what was going to, like, what he was going to do about this customer. I genuinely wanted to know. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. The entire subplot in this about about Johnny drawing the dick on the billboard and Daniel having to deal with that and everything, and was kind of like it's so stupid and childish, and I get that's the point. I get because Johnny was super drunk and it was just a childish thing to do in the first place, but it's like, okay, sure. It just felt like a silly thing. I liked the part about Daniel's storyline in this about the competitor, though. The competitor who did the entire patriotic Yankee kind of commercial ad with the little cactus. Like, I that was obviously very transparently a dig at Daniel and a dig at Daniel's patriotism, as was said. It's very much the kind of thing like right-wing asshats kind of digging at left-wing people or just people in general who aren't right-wing for being unpatriotic because they either because of their skin color a lot or because of like they celebrate and just are generally good to people of color and to and about other countries and stuff. Like if you say anything positive about like Mexico or for example, or people from Mexico or immigrants at all, you're labeled unpatriotic by these kind of people. It's very much that kind of thing here. Daniel is being labeled unpatriotic because of the Japanese influences that surround his dealership. The karate theming, the bonsai trees, because he's got this very much Japanese theme to his advertising and all. This competitor is calling him unpatriotic, and it's completely bullshit. It's stupid. There's no logic behind it, but that's how these kinds of people are. And at first, like after their confrontation, it looked like he was like going to back down at least a little bit, maybe from being confronted. But then he throws in the entire dick line and everything, and I'm surprised that Johnny actually did what he did there. I really thought that was going to just be like, oh, he's just imagining doing that. But no, he actually kicked the cup out of the dude's hand with great precision and all. I don't know if Ralph Macchio is doing his own stunt work or whatnot in this, like his own like karate moves or whatnot, or if there's a actual stunt worker handling that in this series. I don't know. But if so, that's very impressive. If he did do that. And then there's the storyline that I'm a lot more invested in than I honestly expected to be, and that's with Sam. Sam finally has found out how much of an absolute tool Kyler is. In the library, she ended up seeing Kyler and his friend picking on the quote-unquote not cool kids, uncool kids, whatever you want to call them. Basically Miguel and his friends. She saw that, and then, yeah, the sexual assault in the movie theater. And she was already upset with him at that point. She was already, you could tell, considering breaking up with him. But when he started that shit, it's like it just kind of solidified it for her. And I'm so glad that she stood up for herself and shoved him as hard as she did. Right in front of everybody in that theater. That was the right thing to do. As much as you might not want to make a scene, especially in a public place like that, it's the right thing to do. Because it not only just embarrasses these people who do shit like this, but it also makes them nervous about doing it again. Because more people know about it. And if more people know about it, it becomes less, private, obviously. And these kinds of people thrive off of the privacy of these acts. Thrive off of doing it to where they're not going to get caught, where they're not going to get in trouble. They rely on that, because if it's public, then they'll get in trouble. So, yeah. It was definitely the right thing to do, the right move. And I like the little moments where she's telling her parents and Daniel's like trying to hide his excitement about it, and she's just she's genuinely laughing at how bad he is at hiding it. Like, I think that was actually really funny and cute. But yeah, and we even had a little bit of a story with Miguel's mother, like being very protective of him after he was brought home hurt and everything, and having to learn to trust her son here a little bit, that he can handle things, but also having to just put a little faith in Johnny, which is something honestly Johnny needs, so people to put faith in him. So when he came to her and gave her that very genuine little talk, that very sincere speech, she saw in him that the capacity to change. And that's what allowed her to agree to allow Miguel to go back. I think this episode, in a lot of ways, had a lot of big turning points for Johnny's character. And I really, really like that. I'm invested in these storylines at this point. I very much am. And I'm excited to see what continues to happen. So there's 10 episodes from what we looked up in the pre-thoughts and all. So we're just about halfway there. Next week's episode will be the halfway point. Obviously, with only 10 episodes, we're not going to be taking a break like we do with other series. It's not long enough for that, but we'll kind of see how it goes. I was thinking of maybe at some point doing it 2 episodes if we need to. I'm going to see if I can find out, without finding any spoilers, of course, if the last 2 episodes might be a 2-parter, because it's very much possible. And it's not anything against Cobra Kai or anything. It's not like I'm wanting to speed it up just to get to something else, even. It's just I want to watch more of the series. It's just like watching 1 episode a week is like... It sometimes feels like torture, because it's like I'm very much enjoying the series, so I kind of want to watch more, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to rush through it like too fast, So I'll see if maybe the last 2 episodes are a 2-parter. Maybe we could do those together, because they're only half an hour length episodes, so it's not that big a deal. But either way, tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of Cobra Kai, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.